everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me inside of our own individual homes. And
yes, welcome to my house.
You didn't do a fun background.
I didn't. Well, because we're not on Zoom.
Oh.
That's why.
You'd think after we had to troubleshoot this like 15,000 times, I would know that we're on Google Hangouts now. Not sponsored, but open to it. Because apparently FaceTime doesn't fucking work.
I mean, it's Google, YouTube. We know how reliable they are as well.
The shade, the tea. So I haven't seen the last episode that we recorded at home, like the video version, but I just know from my self-esteem that I had to wear makeup this time. So if you're watching, please just appreciate or just give me a compliment, because I can't even say how humbling the last one was. I thought I had something to tell you, but I don't think I do. There's like nothing going on. I don't know what I would even tell you.
I don't know. How's your puzzle gate going?
Still can't find the last two pieces. And to be fair, I haven't looked a ton. Like I looked, but I haven't. No, that's a lie. I like crawled on the ground. I think I gave it a couple of days, and now I think I'm going to look again and then see if I can find them. Someone gave me the really smart idea that you put like a stocking. What is this? The 1950s? Like tights. Like you put one of those over a vacuum and then you suck it up so it doesn't get sucked all the way in. But especially because like, the rug in our dining room is kind of like, it's like a shaggy pattern, but it's shaggy and there's like lots of different textures. So I feel like it's harder and it's beige. So like it's really hard to see the puzzle pieces. So I think I'm going to do that. But I did just get an email that my order for my other puzzles officially shipped.
Amazing.
Well, should we get into the episode? Oh, I should say the phone number.
Oh yeah,
I should like explain the whole thing.
What even is this show?
Guys, this is an advice podcast. If you want to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com.
Hi, Meghan, Melisa, and potential guest. I am 25 years old, and I'm a therapist who loves your podcast. And I have a question about dating. So just to get these out of the way, I'm in therapy too. I am bisexual. I'm an Aries and all that good stuff. So now you know the basics. Essentially, my ticker is off, like in dating. I just kind of got off of a year-long thing, situationship, if you will, with this guy that I like, who was the first person I fell in love with since like my abusive ex from years ago. I kind of took a hiatus off dating for a while because I was like deep in the closet about being bi and like so traumatized by men and all this stuff. So I was just like, I just took time off and didn't even date, like just did nothing. And then I kind of got back into the game with this guy. It was like a really cute whirlwind romance, meet cute, the whole deal. But typical fuckboy. I think he loved me back, but didn't want to commit, yada, yada, yada. Wasn't ready for a relationship. Was also 25. So I'm just like kind of reflecting. I just went back to therapy and I'm just kind of reflecting on my dating history, and I'm noticing that like I tend to go for, and I know we all go for like people who are familiar to us, who like, we're always trying to replay dynamics that we saw growing up, etc. But I feel like I'm always going after people who are like, I guess I really love confidence and I really love cockiness and I really love people who are super sure of themselves. But what that keeps getting me into is like dating people who are narcissistic and people who are like always trying to push my buttons, which is a dynamic I had with my stepfather growing up. Like just someone I'm so used to like love being shown to me through like people teasing me. And like I'm so well loved in every other area of my life. And I feel like it's such like a barrier, this whole romantic relationship thing. And I'm super busy right now, commuting from Connecticut to New York City. So like, I don't have time to date, but I would like to kind of figure out how to make my picker not be off anymore. So I'd love any advice you have on like kind of adjusting your taste in people. Don't know if you can help with that. I'm sure if anyone can, you guys can. Thank you so much. Love the podcast. Bye.
I love how she's sure we can. I'm like, ma'am, I feel like I'm unqualified to give you advice. You're a therapist.
Right. That sounds like a therapist is coming to us for advice.
Like, that makes me feel really good.
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
I very much relate to this. Not like the stepfather aspect of it, but like this, when I talk about my own experience with my picker being off and taking a break, the main trait and quality that I am attracted to is confidence, but it's cockiness. Like, I like pretentious assholes who are cocky as shit. And that was like my biggest issue. And the thing that I found is that it's not necessarily adjusting your picker. It's just getting a better filtering system, because that's not a bad trait. There's the twofold of confidence versus cockiness. And I think like if immediately right off the bat, so like the whole thing about like you're attracted to people and you date people who are familiar to you and you have those familiar relationships. And so my therapist was saying that when clients tell her, or anyone says, I just met this person and I feel like I've known them my whole life, she's like, terrible sign, red flag, run for the hills. Because naturally, even if you don't automatically think like, wow, we just immediately click, we have so much in common, like, you're always going to be attracted to what's familiar to you and what you're attracted to. It just might not be so like surface level and just right there obvious for you. So I would say with like confidence, I think you can seek out someone who's confident and just figure out like, maybe it's not even necessarily going for someone who's confident. Just don't go out of your way to date someone who's insecure, because you don't want to date someone who's insecure. And I think you'll find someone who's confident, but confident in a quiet way and not that like fuckboy loud way. So if it's that automatic attraction that you're super into, because I don't think it's giving up those character traits. It's just replacing, it's the mature version. Confidence is the mature version of cockiness. And like, Monts is definitely confident, and like, dare I say, he can totally be cocky, but that wasn't my initial reaction or my initial impression of him versus every other guy I've dated. That's like the first thing I'm like, oh, I love how like confident and that self-assured he is. And that, if I'm knowing that right off the bat of meeting you, it's cockiness. Like, no one who's genuinely so confident that isn't cocky, they're not portraying it as like the first layer of their personality. If it comes forward that hard, I would say it's cockiness. So that'd be my first thing. For me, it's like, I would like, for a long time, I was dating a lot of guys that were like foreign and didn't live here. And I was like, oh, I just love international guys. And the thing is like, it was because, but it was because I had my own commitment issues, and I knew that they weren't going to be sticking around for a long time. So it's like looking at what those specific qualities are and figuring out why you're attracted to what it is. Yeah, and that there's like, that can be like, you just want someone who's independent, but there's the way of like, oh, how do I go about this? And I don't want to call it like the easiest way, but it does kind of feel like the easiest way. Like if it's like, oh, this is something that it's familiar and attainable to me. And I think, you run the risk of, especially if you're trying to change your picker, because I think I think at the end of the day, unless you're going back to like abusive people, there's not that many character traits in the world. Like they overlap. Like people have so many similar character traits, but they take form in different ways in different people. And I think it's trusting yourself to know that you're attracted to what you're attracted to. And it's trust that deeper, if you meet someone and they don't automatically to you seem like the most like confident, self-assured, kind of like loud, like that loud confidence, which is cockiness. If they don't seem like that, know that like, oh, if I'm attracted to you and I'm not worrying, oh, he seems really insecure, that there's this middle ground that once I get to know you, I'll have that sort of feeling. And so I would say from there, I would also go and try and date people in different like social circles. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't date, like if we're going to be stereotypical, like if you've had issues dating like athletes or like frat boys or that sort of stuff, steer away from that. If someone's, and maybe you can take, we don't have to focus so much on like the confidence cockiness, and you can go into like, oh, okay, are they more or less like my ex in a sense that like they have different hobbies, different extracurriculars, like they've got a different home life, the way like their sense of humor is different and everything like that. Because I think that there's a happy medium, but it's just going to be, it's harder. Just like the same thing with you're saying with like the dating someone who, because like I loved an unattainable. Like unattainable crushes were my shit because I never had to fucking act on them. That was Monts. Monts and I for a year and a half. I was like unattainable crush, and then he was like quitting my job, want to go out, and I was like, what? Fuck, I don't know if I like you. And I was like petrified. But I was like I was the epitome of that, and I think it becomes we go for we go for the people and the situations that we know the outcome because we've been through it before, and I don't think you need to take a complete like pivot, like a complete 180. But if you take a couple of steps with somebody else who you're like, I don't know, like let's see, and you just kind of let it play out, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. But again, I just would, instead of seeking guys who are cocky, I would just seek guys, just don't seek people who are insecure.
Yeah.
Which sounds dumb, but
and maybe like open yourself up to people that you may not like, you find attractive, but they may not have like the initial qualities that you find attractive, and take time to get to know them. And, you know, just because somebody doesn't initially come off as arrogant, they can still be very confident in their everyday life.
Yeah, maybe it's coming up with a list of the other traits that you like and the other traits that you're attracted to, and ignoring confidence to start with, like completely ignoring that. Because I think you're right. I think it's like a quiet confidence that you'll find once you get to know somebody. And so focus on come up with 5 other personality traits that you are attracted to. And I would then focus on those. So if you're on dating apps, I would just focus on those 5 things. And like, obviously like for what you're attracted to, but don't let like the physical attraction, if that person's physical attraction doesn't match these other personality traits that you want, cut them off. Like cut them the fuck off.
Cut them off. And right now is a good time to like practice that, because now I'm guessing you're not commuting to New York City every day. So take that time to like that you would have been commuting and figure out like what is it that you actually want. And then like if you're going on dating apps, you know, this is a good time just to start talking to people and getting to know them as opposed to like going on dates.
Yeah, no, I think this would be like, I think you can crush like a Zoom date or like a FaceTime date. I think it'll be like a great time.
Yeah.
But wow, I love when therapists listen to our show.
Me too.
It makes me
ask us for advice.
Yeah. She's like, who else better? I'm like, you? But I mean, I also think
and she goes to therapy too. So
well, I think all therapists go to therapy. I wouldn't trust a therapist who is like, I don't
but
need
it's just like she's coming to us instead of asking her therapist.
That makes me happy. Well, I wonder if our therapist had like the very like, you know, therapist-y kind of response.
So I'm 26 and me and this guy work together. And so we were flirting around. There was a lot of sexual tension, and we ended up hooking up. But we had always been very flirtatious. And it wasn't like flirtatious, like flirting. It was very insinuating and calling me names, as in like corazón, which is like my heart in Spanish, and like giving me cute little nicknames like that, and telling me that he wanted to do stuff to me on text. And so we ended up hooking up, and then afterwards he just like still continued to do that, saying that he wanted to fuck me, but then he would go back on it and be like, no, I don't want to. I just want to be friends with you. Like, I just kid around like that with my friends. And I'm like, you joke around that you want to fuck with just any of your friends? Like, they were sexting, basically. And he wants to act like nothing is going to happen. Like, he makes it very obvious that he likes me. All our coworkers, like, know that he likes me. No one knows that we hooked up. But if I start talking about a guy or anything that I'm going to do, he gets very jealous, and everyone knows it. And he gets very mad. So I don't know what I should do. Like, should I just give this up, or should I try to continue to talk to him eventually? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, do you think that he's just scared of commitment? Because I feel like I'm scared to commit to him too, but I would just, like, want it as a fuck buddy situation. I would not want it as anything else. So if you can help me, thanks. Bye.
What we have here is a classic case of the fuck boy.
Yeah, and you recognize it, but he's still playing you. Like, you're allowing him to still play you.
Yeah.
He got what he wanted from you, and now he's just keeping you on the back burner. Like, fuck buddies shouldn't be this hard.
No,
like,
and they only fucked once.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that I think, like, I wouldn't even call this guy, like, your friend, like, at all, because I think if you fuck your friend and, like, you've got great, if in the words of Love Island, you've got great banter, and you work together and the sex is good and you enjoy yourself, and, like, you are also friends, you don't just fuck once. Like, you either then start dating or you become fuck buddies. And, like, it's so clear that, and also it's not that because I feel like the response would be like, well, maybe I'm appearing too closed off. Like, if he wanted to date you, he would date you. And if he wanted to continue fucking you, he would make that clear. Like, all of these, like, actions and talking this big game is just, to me, just so slimy. And I don't think you're the only girl he's doing this to at all. And even if it seems like he's flirting and he likes you and your coworkers are like, oh my gosh, like, there's no follow through. Like, there is no, it's just a weak move. And I think if he was afraid of commitment, there would have been a conversation about that, and also fuck buddies isn't a commitment. So if he was afraid of commitment, it just doesn't
still want to be fucking you.
Yeah. And he would, or if he had, like, serious feelings, or it was uncomfortable, or he felt weird about it, he would completely stop with the sexting you and stuff like that. And if he's saying, like, oh, I just do this to all my friends, believe him when he says that. Like, I don't think that he's meaning he's doing it to, like, his buddy, like, Jared and Billy.
Maybe he is.
I mean, here, you know what? I'm not here to empower him. I mean, sure, we can empower him, but, like, we're here for you. But yeah, like, when he says that he's doing that, believe him. That's him telling you, I'm, in the words of Black China, texting other bitches. Like, that's like, oh, you still texting other bitches. Like, he's telling you explicitly that that's what he's doing, and this is just, like, how he is, and he's doing that to set your so if at any point you think he's leading you on, he can turn around and be like, no, I told you that this is just what I do.
He told you exactly who he was. He showed you. Now you just need to believe it.
Yeah, he's essentially telling you you're not special, and, like, this is not, like, oh, I'm doing this with everybody else. Like, this isn't you.
It takes two people to text, and so, like, you just need to stop responding to him. And I know it's awkward because you guys work together, but you've got to, like, you need to set boundaries for yourself because you're not respecting yourself right now. So if you don't want to if he doesn't want to be with you, then, just move on. You've got to just have a professional relationship with him.
Yeah. And it's also just weird to, like, sure, I get, like, flirting at work, but, like, the sexting and, like, I want to fuck you stuff and all of that, like, is just so
inappropriate.
Yeah. Like, even if you think of him as your friend, he's not treating you like a friend. Like he's not at all. And regardless of like what the culture is at your workplace, like that's not cool and okay. And like you're into him and attracted to him, and so I think it's feeling more okay because like you're into it, so it's a consensual text relationship because you're also participating. But I think just recognizing in yourself that, oh, if he actually cared about me and like wanted to date me, he would, and if he wanted to be fuck buddies with me, he would. Like you don't need to tell him like, hey, like let's not have any commitment, like let's just like fuck and stay friends. Like he knows that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's waiting for your permission and he's this like respectful guy. Like, no, he's like still sending you these like dirty messages and then be like, well, I send this to everybody. Like, don't flatter yourself, essentially. And I don't think, I think honestly, if I'm going to be like very harsh, blunt advice, I would think that his bench is just full. That he is, his like bench of girls that he's hooking up with during the week and weekend is full, and you are the work wife and you're on rotation. So if one of them falls off, he's going to sub you in.
And you're saying like everybody at your job is saying that you guys like that he's into you and he's flirting with you. That's just like distracting people from doing their job.
Oh, yeah. And also I would just do your best to tune that out because that is just... it's just entertainment for your coworkers. And it's kind of like The Bachelor when like everybody in the house is talking about how much they like the guy or like, oh my God, or like the producer, like you'd be so cute with them, that can get into your head and also make you think that you're more into him or he's more into you than you actually are in the situation. Because you're just talking about it so much that it becomes an all-encompassing thing. And then when you also backtracked in the call and you're like, yeah, but I would just be down to be fuck buddies. It doesn't seem like you like him that much. It just kind of seems that like, this is like the center hot point of like gossip and everybody's talking about it. And I don't think it needs to be that because I don't think you really care that much either. Yeah. If that makes sense. If I'm reading it right. But say boy bye.
Off the information that we have.
Yeah. I say boy bye. He's a fuck boy. And no guy needs like... no guy who's like continues to sext you is like, I'll continue to sext you, but I need you to tell me that you want to be fuck buddies. Because like he's actually being like, I want to fuck you. And then it's like, oh, never mind. We're just friends.
Yeah. No. Move on.
Maybe he's got a girlfriend.
That too.
Hello, Meghan and Melissa and possible guest, but probably not a guest because of coronavirus. Anyways, this question is for both Meghan and Melissa, since you two are professional ghosters, and I need to learn how to ghost someone, especially since I'm a little too nice sometimes. Keyword sometimes. But like, so there's this girl. I met her at a treatment center when I was 14. I'm 22 right now, by the way. She's the same age as well. And I felt like at the time, like we didn't even talk. And also I felt like she was there for all the wrong reasons because she would like constantly like try to trigger everyone's like whatever they're in there for. Like I was in there for self-harm and eating disorders. And she would always kind of end up like constantly trigger that, including everyone else's, to the point where she had to get kicked out to a different group therapy thing. And like a couple years later now, she was like, hi, I miss you so much. And I'm just like I had to respond because I didn't want to be mean or anything. I'm just like, hi, how are you, blah, 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 all that stuff. And she's always like saying to hang out, but I don't want to hang out with her because, one, I hate people and I don't like leaving my house, especially now since I'm in isolation, so it's perfect. But like, she's even like now, like she keeps like saying, let's hang out. And I'm just like, one, I'm super busy being an adult, working 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. job. Yes. And having to take care of my nephew as well because my sister is trying to be like a badass mom, and she's like I always feel bad whenever I try to ignore her, and she's like one of those people you kind of feel sorry for because like I don't know, like I feel like there is something mentally wrong with her, and she's just like also like not getting the clues that I don't want to be her friend. Like I just like message her because I feel bad for her. And I don't know, like I always like I even like ignore her messages and she'll like keep messaging me like 10 times, like sending me 10 messages. I'm like, this is unnecessary. So I'm just like, how do I like approach this girl, or should I just block her? Because like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to be mean or how to ghost people. So yeah, thanks. Be safe.
Well, you came to the right place. I'm very good at being mean and ghosting people.
I know. But like in this situation, I think you have to be a little more delicate.
Oh, I 100%. I 100% agree. And I haven't been in the same situation, but I had, I would say 2 friendships that ended that needed to be like, that was me ending friendships that needed to be treated more delicately because of, when you know someone really well and you know like their like mental health battles or struggles or any sort of thing like that, like you do want to be cognizant of that, but that's not like no matter what anyone's mental health disorders or anything like that, no one wants to be a pity friend. And that's what I always have to tell myself, that it was like, here's the thing, like I'm preventing like the time and energy that they're spending trying to pursue a friendship or invest in the friendship that we have. I'm not giving them back that same level of friendship, and I'm withholding someone from their life who could fill that spot and they could have a mutual friendship and relationship with. Because I think like, yes, ghosting gets a bad like name for being mean, but I also think that sometimes it's like, sometimes you don't feel comfortable telling the person that's why. And it's not that like, oh, I hate you and I don't want to be your friend anymore. It's just, we're not at the same level of friendship and I want you to have that with somebody else. And I know that person's not me. So I'm going to remove myself from your life. Yeah. And again, we always say that we ghost because that's what we would prefer people do
that's
to
what we
us.
prefer. And and usually when I'm ghosting 99% of the time, it's because that person is toxic and I know that they're going to use whatever tactics they can to keep me around, and they're going to say what I want to hear. And I know that going into it. So I know that I need to just cut them off cold turkey. Yeah. Because it's usually people that are manipulative.
Yeah. And they're not going, regardless of what you say, it's not going to be like a conversation. It's just going to, they're not going to hear you. So I think that you need to analyze and kind of address what you think that she will respond to. And I don't know, because you have such like a long standing relationship with her, I would assume she's never like apologized for her actions back then, which I think I would, if I were you, and I think that's what you're feeling, is like that's kind of a red flag and not someone that you don't have room for. You're living your adult life. You don't really have room or desire to make new friends, let alone this person who had kind of really left a sour taste in your mouth. I don't think that there's any reason why you need to remain her friend at all. But the times that I have like, and I wouldn't even say that I ghosted the people who I treated it in more delicate situations. I kind of just, I concluded it, and that was all there was to it. So it's whether it's like sending a message of being like, just being really upfront and saying, texting her back. And I would do it not as a response to one of hers. I would like maybe respond a couple of times and then like pay attention to when she texts you, and then wake up early or like text a few hours before. So the text is coming from you. It's not a response to something that she's saying, and just say, hey, I want to be super upfront and honest with you because that's what I would want in return. And I would want someone to do for me. It was so nostalgic to have you reach out. I'm at a place in my life right now where I am super busy. I've got all of this stuff going on.
I'm working 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
I take care of my nephew. And I'm just like not at the mental capacity right now where I can have somebody else in my life.
Yeah. And like have new friends. And I don't like, and maybe you harbor resentment towards her. Maybe you don't. If you don't, I would say I don't harbor any sort of ill feelings to you at all. I know that I'm not capable of being like a friend to anyone right now, like any more people that I already have in my life. And I really want that for you. So like, I just want to let you know that that's where I'm at. And I don't want you to essentially like waste your time on investing in a friendship with me right now, because I'm just kind of like, I'm at capacity. And then from there, I would just be done and have that be the only text that you send. And obviously you know her better than us, but if her response is something like, okay, good, like, thank you so much for letting me know, and then you can respond to that if you want and say like, no problem, like, it was great to hear from you. But if it's like,
keep it short and honest. And if she's like asking questions that are going to lead you on, then like to continue the conversation, then you just have to cut it off after that, because at that point you've said everything that you needed to say, and it's just going to keep going if you don't cut it off. Yeah,
I would say make sure none of your text messages involve questions or need a response. Like I'm really like careful when I do stuff like that I'm not asking for a response for anything, and like they don't even necessarily need to respond. Like it's just kind of like, it can be just an, oh, okay, thanks for the heads up or anything like that. Have it be statement driven. And yeah, I would just, and if you have any, like, if you're worried about if she's like not in a great like mental space, and if you have any like mutual people that you know are still in contact with her and you're worried about her, you can give them a heads up of saying, hey, I just recently kind of cut ties with her, and I know that she's like going through something right now, and I just wanted you to like be aware. Obviously, like, I want what's best for her, and just so other people are aware. So I think but I think at the end of it, I wouldn't even call it, I really wouldn't call it ghosting. I think there's a nice way to do it. But after that, don't engage.
Casper.
Yeah. Don't engage
ghost.
And just don't respond, because it doesn't make you an asshole. It's just because, like you said, like, you're not in the market for new friends, and she keeps asking you to hang out, and you're essentially just on the fast track of being like, here's the thing, I'm going to disappoint you because I don't really want to hang out. Like, that's not really where I'm at. And I'd rather tell you that right now than have this go on for a couple months and you think that I hate you and like wonder why I'm avoiding you and all of that stuff. When I'm just like letting you know now, like, I'm not into making new friends right now. So I would just, say that to her, and let it let it be what it is. Cause I think it's also hard, or at least I really struggled with feeling like a lot of pressure from other people to maintain friendships with the friends that I had that were like struggling with like mental health stuff, even though I was too. And it was kind of one of those things that I was told, like, no, you have to stay friends with them. They're going through a lot right now. And I was like, I'm going through a lot, and they're making my life and the stuff I'm going through so much harder. Why do I have to keep being friends with them? Like, this doesn't seem fair to me at all. And at the end of the day, like, there's only so much that you can, like, you can't like give from empty. Mm-hmm. And I think like if she doesn't understand that now, hopefully she will like later on down the road. But yeah. I think it doesn't make you a bad person.
Right now, a lot of like acquaintances that I have are coming out the woodworks, and I understand it because everybody is like stuck at home and they can't go out and talk to people. But these were people that like I would talk to like once every 3 months, and everybody's just like, let's FaceTime. And like, honestly, I'm like you. I'm still working, and I don't want to like, which I appreciate, and I understand that like it's a privilege that I'm still able to work right now, but like I don't have the mental capacity to be FaceTiming everybody all day long. Like I still have obligations that I have to attain to, and I just don't, mentally I'm very like worn out right now, and I can't give any more at this time.
No, I think it's valid, especially because everyone's handling this time period differently. And some people are like, this is a great time to like do all that stuff. And everyone else, I mean, I'm one of those people where I'm like, no, I'm going to talk to the people I talk to regularly, but like, that whole thing when people were like, I forget who had suggested it. It was like a boomer. And there was a tweet about like, every day call somebody who you haven't talked to in at least 5 years. And I'm like, fuck no.
There's a reason why I haven't talked to them.
I don't have enough mental capacity. Like, I'm just trying to keep up with like the few friends I have. Like, don't make me reach back out to these people that like, they're not in my life for a fucking reason.
Yeah.
I get it if you're like, old and like you're just trying to be like nostalgic and sweet, but like, yeah, there's no point. But I'm happy for you for living your best adult life. And I feel like this is going to be a really good way for you to ease into the ghosting. And maybe, who knows, in a couple months, you'll be like a fully fledged ghoster. Be so proud. Only if you want to get ghosted. That's like the twofold. Like, you can't become a ghoster and then be upset when you get ghosted. I definitely was
like
upset.
He's there because he's like, I'm nice sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, I like hated I got the first 2 times I got ghosted, I was like very upset. And then I got older and then I was like, oh, no. I'm glad I got ghosted. I wouldn't have wanted you to tell me that you wanted to break up with me. And I also like am now just gonna ghost people. Like I was like, no, that's so mean. And then I was like, oh no, those conversations just are. I don't need them.
Yeah,
I don't need them.
I don't need them either.
Well, it's time for a break now, right? Okay, guys, we're gonna take a quick break and we will be right back. Ever wanted to get into bullet journaling or planning? Now is a great time to learn a new hobby that can help you manage your stress, and Archer & Olive is the premier company making super cute notebooks and planners for your creative endeavors. Founder Bonnie Cool created Archer & Olive because journaling helped her manage her own mental health issues, so you can too. Archer & Olive offers free tutorials and printables on the blog to help you get started with creative things like bullet planning, journaling, lettering, doodling, and all kinds of arts and journaling tutorials. Each notebook and planner is made with superior quality and attention to detail, including an eco-friendly box it's shipped in. I will also note that the box is not only eco-friendly, it's incredibly cute. I have saved the boxes of mine because it's very cute. And the cute, inspiring designs are created with the help of independent artists that are paid fairly for their work. There are even back pages and gel pens. Guys, I mean, if you know anything about me, you know this girl loves to doodle. I am obsessed. I love lettering. I love that art stuff so much. And if you're into this kind of stuff, you know what it feels like when you have a good quality notebook with good quality, that thick paper that just makes your pens glide. Oh, it is fantastic. It also incredibly cute. I have a really cute pink one, and it has one of those like little rubber things that goes over the side of it to keep all the pages together, which I love. It's absolutely beautiful. And not only is it pretty, it's aesthetic, functional, premium quality. And right now you can get 10% off at Archer & Olive by using code BLAME at archerandolive.com/blame. That's code BLAME at checkout after visiting archerandolive.com/blame. Care Of is a wellness brand that makes it easy to maintain your health goals with a customized vitamin plan that helps you feel your best today and supports you long term. Care Of's short online quiz makes it easy. Simply answer some questions about your diet, health goals, and lifestyle, and Care Of will recommend a list of vitamins and supplements specifically for your health needs and goals, whether it's improving your fitness routine or managing stress. You can follow Care Of's expert recommendations or adjust your pack at any time. What you receive is totally up to you. Their new skin and hair collection helps you work on your beauty goals from all angles with a combination of targeted ingredients for hair, skin, and nails. Care Of is focused on the quality, science, and research that goes into each of their products and recommendations. Their yummy protein powders are made of real ingredients you can recognize, like organic cocoa and pink Himalayan sea salt. Guys, I love a quiz. I'm all about a personalized quiz, and I also love attention. and my own name. I mean, I don't necessarily love my own name, but I do love when a package comes and it specifically says that it's for me. I love vitamins. I love feeling good. I love focusing and prioritizing my health. And it's such a fun way to go through a quiz and figure out what are the things that you want for the goals that you have. But then on top of that, you can switch at any time. And I am just a huge fan. I'm also a huge fan of any vitamin that will help my hair, skin, and nails, because all three of those things, they need help. For 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code BLAME50. That's takecareof.com and code BLAME50 for 50% off your first Care of order. Well, guys, we are back from our break and we're going to hop into the rest of the calls.
So I'm 21 and I basically have this problem where, okay, so I'm dating this girl and she's 25 and she is actually married to this guy who is also 25 and but he knows about us and everything. Like, he's cool, like everything's good. We're thriving. And so basically they keep like insinuating to me that they want a girlfriend for them and their husband. And like, I was kind of like, oh, okay, like, cool, that's really dope, like for sure, like, you know, I don't feel weird about that at all, like there was another person involved. And so basically the problem with this is, like, at first I didn't really think that that's something I would want, but now it's something that I really do want, because like I was just scrolling through their Instagrams and like he's just like such a great person and like he's so fucking hot and like fuck, I don't know what to do. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I can say fuck. So, because I don't know how to bring that up. And also, like, even though they keep insinuating it, I don't know if they actually want me to like date both of them, because like this is like I'm the first person they've dated since they've been open, and like I don't know, I feel so weird about it. I don't know how to bring it up. I want it to happen. So do I do it or do I like not? I don't know. Also, if it matters, I'm an Aquarius, she's a Scorpio, and he's a Leo. I know that we're like the worst for Scorpios, Leos, and Aquarius, but like maybe that'll make us stronger. I don't know. Let me know. All right, thanks. Bye.
Well, actually, Aquariuses and Leos are sister signs, so they get along fabulously well. That's Melissa and I. I actually thought about it, and I think I do actually think that like the only sign of like two of my closest friends, like you and Melisa, are Aquariuses. Like, I don't think I have any other like of my close friend circle. No one else repeats. No other sign repeats.
Yeah.
So I would say that, but I would say that all of your signs make so much sense in this situation to me. Like, it makes so much sense. Like, your vibe makes sense to me. Like, their vibe makes sense to me. I mean, okay, I will be the first to admit I've never been in this situation before. So everything that I say, and you're shaking your head. So Melissa's, you haven't been.
I haven't, but I would love to be with two dudes.
Aquarius. I'm telling you. But I would say, and I've got friends who've been in open relationships. I would say maybe if what you're trying to preserve is like awkwardness, I would just start by having a conversation with her, and maybe it's just like figuring out and having more of a conversation about what the openness in their relationship entails.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe if it's, we're like, I'm sleeping with other people, he's sleeping with other people, just to kind of like, I don't know, like suss out the situation more and get more information.
Yeah. I think that in any relationship, period, like, communication is key, but in these type of open relationships, then it's like you have to be able to express what you want, or people will get confused and feelings will get hurt.
Yeah, because we don't know if they're married and this is their first time that they've had someone like that they've been in a that she's been in a relationship since they've been open. So I don't know what their like primary partner aspect is that it's they invite new people in, or it's whatever that is, or if one of us is sleeping with someone, that person needs to be kept really separate. So I don't know how much interaction you've had with him, or if it's been her saying, oh, we really want that, like we've really kind of talked about this. But I think like at the end of it, like you're fucking her, like you can, like you have every right to, like, she's saying that that's something that she would be into. I think that like that's very much opened up the space for you to say. It's not like you're just hooking up with her and you're suddenly like, yo, would also love to just be a part of, like,
join your just because they're like open doesn't mean that they want a throuple.
Yeah, but if she's the one opening that conversation, I think you have like every right to say, oh, I would definitely be interested in that. And maybe if it's because you said originally you didn't think it's something you would be, but you can just, and if you express that to her, I would just revisit it and just say, hey,
things have changed now.
Yeah, I'd be into it.
Yeah, and you're like physically attracted to him, which is a good sign, but like you guys might hang out and you might not connect to him on a different level too. So
yeah, and he might not connect with her.
Be cautious. Yeah. He might not connect with her. So I'd just say be cautious, but be truthful to what exactly you want and go for it. Yeah,
I would just have the conversation sooner rather than later, because I think like the daydreaming fantasy aspect of it, I think that's going to get out of control real fast. And if this isn't a possibility, this isn't even something that crossed your mind until she brought it up. And then if this is like, if it's not going to happen and if it's just going to be you and her continuing a relationship, I think the sooner you know that, the better. So you can then, you know, stop scrolling through his Instagram and thinking about it and all of that sort of stuff. Because I think that could also potentially ruin what you guys have going on.
Yeah, because you're living in a fantasy right now.
Yeah.
The potential of what could be. And you might be building up something in your head that's not what it ends up being.
Yeah, maybe it's, and I would also go into it, find out what the parameters of their open relationship is, what they're looking for, and then also figure out if it's not, okay, not even just like, oh, I'm okay with that. Is that what you're looking for too? Yeah. So is this the kind of thing that you, and it's totally fine to like, I mean, half the shit that we all try, it's you don't know that you like it or you don't know that you're into it until like the situation comes up, because you never think of it. So I don't think it has to be like, oh, this is like my ideal dream scenario I've been thinking about for a long time, but making sure that it's not, you're not settling for an aspect of it that you're not necessarily super cool with just because that's what they're offering. But if you're into it, fucking go for it.
Yeah, agree.
I'm highly curious about the Leo dynamic in this, because Leos are so prideful. We love attention, but also tend to be pretty jealous, and so do Scorpios. So I'm just curious if that, like, obviously not everything's about zodiac signs, but I could also kind of see it canceling it out with, because you're both so extreme signs that, like, I don't necessarily, like, as a Leo, don't usually get along well with Scorpios, but that intensity can sometimes cancel it out for certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
Oh God, can you imagine?
As Aquarius, you're just like laid back.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like you're the perfect sign for that. Like
somebody like presented something to you at first, and you're like, you know, I'm not into it. But then the more you did your research, because we do love researching and finding out more information, you're like, you know what? You know, this might be something that's for me.
It is just such an Aquarius vibe. Like it is the most, and I love it. It's such a good time. Okay, well, should we get on to the next one?
Let's do it.
I'm 19, and I've been dating my boyfriend now for about 3 years. He's just been my only boyfriend. Oh my gosh, this is the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. Okay, so basically my boyfriend has recently been wanting to try new things. In particular, he likes having his ass eaten. So after the first time I did it, I told him that I didn't really enjoy it. It just makes me feel really uncomfortable. Like I enjoy sucking his dick, but like it's a different experience. So he'll say like, okay, and like that I don't have to do it anymore. But then he keeps wanting me to do it. So every time like I see him and we're getting sexual and I'm sucking his dick, he just sort of lifts up his legs and pushes my head down there and like in his butt. And then like at that moment, like there's no really going back, you know, like I just have to commit, but I really genuinely do not like it. But I feel bad because, you know, he really does like it and I love him. And I don't know if it's just something in 2020. Is it normal? Just something you kind of do? Because like maybe, you know, he doesn't like eating me out, but he does it because it's pleasurable to me. So if I don't like doing that to him, do I still do it because it's pleasurable for him? I don't know. It just always keeps happening. And after every time, I just feel so gross. Like, it just makes me so uncomfortable. But I don't know how I should handle it. If I should just bring it up to him again that I just don't like it, or if I should just suck it up. Because I can suck it up. It's just not my favorite thing. Any advice will be helpful. Thank you.
Both these last two calls make me want to like, it relates heavily to this show Monts and I just watched, but like I would essentially be spoiling the entire show if I said which show it is. But there's a new show on HBO, which both of these calls remind me of, the last two ones. I don't know how to like say this in the most like delicate way I can, but like him like I don't want to use
forcing.
Yeah,
I'll say it. He's forcing you to do something sexually that you don't want to do.
There's a reason why you feel uncomfortable, and it's not because of the. There's a part of it, sure, that's because of the action, but that's because you didn't consent to it. That feeling that you get every time afterwards, like that's such a specific feeling that you can't put your finger on, because even how you're saying being like, oh, I can suck it up. Like it's not my favorite thing to do, but that uncomfortable, like really bad feeling, gross feeling that you get afterwards is because you didn't consent to it. And that he is continuing to force you to do it, knowing that you feel uncomfortable, seeing that you feel uncomfortable, and you feel like you have to.
You feel like you're obligated. And you said, I don't know if it's something in 2020 that people are just doing, probably because like eating ass has become like this thing that people just talk about that everybody's doing, but everybody isn't doing it. Everybody doesn't love to do it. If you don't enjoy doing something, you shouldn't be doing it, and you shouldn't feel obligated to do it.
No, and if he doesn't enjoy eating you out, then he shouldn't eat you out. Like, and that's at the end of the day though, like if this is a deal breaker for him, then you guys shouldn't be dating. Like then but the idea that like this is something that she's not comfortable with and I'm going to force her to do it is sexual assault. And like,
yes,
it's not okay. And it doesn't matter how much you enjoy something. Because at the end of the day, like when we talk about like enjoying giving blowjobs and all of that sort of stuff, like, yes, you're enjoying it because like you're giving someone else pleasure, but like also like there's that confidence boost, like you enjoy that, like but the idea that like you just need to suck it up is not, no, like it's not a thing. And also like whatever he's into and whatever you're into, that's fine, that's totally fine, but like you cannot force your partner to do it non-consensually. Like that's just like any that it just becomes null at that point. And you've expressed to him over and over again that you're not comfortable and you don't like it, and he doesn't care. And that's like so incredibly worrisome and such a red flag. And I don't know if you've really put two and two together of the fact that you're not consenting to this, and that's not how consensual sex in a relationship goes. Like once you're in a relationship, you have to continue to consent all the time. Like that's not
just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that that's consent for every time that you have sex.
And it's so incredibly disrespectful for him to not only do that in the moment, but then also ignore you when you're verbalizing it and saying all of that. Like I think that is just, it's just fucked up. Like, it's so incredibly fucked up. And I don't, again, like, I think that it's super, super sad that some men don't understand that and don't understand. I mean, where I'm not even getting into in like the men understanding, or anyone in understanding consent in general, but the aspect of relationships like consent in relationships. And I think I would just urge you to do some more reading about consent in relationships and see if any other things that are happening in your relationship, if any of it kind of rings true with you. I would talk to a friend about it. I don't know if you see a therapist, talk to a therapist about it, and then approach a conversation in your relationship. Maybe it's in a couples therapy session, but if you've expressed to him over and over again that like, and also, I mean, I'm going to be super straightforward. My automatic advice would be like, dump him. He's a piece of shit. Like, he's forcing you, like, and I'm like, that's how I feel. But like, this is your relationship, and I don't know if that is like helpful or constructive for you at all, because I don't want to give you advice that you're like, oh, I'm not going to dump him, so I'm just going to keep sticking with this. So if you're going to stay in this relationship and try and stay in the relationship and work on this, then you guys need to go to therapy, and he needs to understand what consent is and figure that shit out. And I'm not like trying to be like a doomsday-y, like not thinking that that's going to like work out, but I don't know. Again, my advice is to dump him because he's sexually assaulting you. And just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that you consent. But I don't know.
Also, she's 19. She's been in this relationship for 3 years. This is the only relationship that you've been in. And I don't want you to think that this is the standard for what a partner should be. Sex should be mutually beneficial. If you're not enjoying, I do blowjobs because I like giving blowjobs. If I didn't like giving them, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And somebody shouldn't be forcing something upon you.
Because this relationship has been through such like formidable years of your life, I'm thinking, I don't think that you're going to read about consent in relationships and toxic relationships and abusive relationships and manipulative and all that stuff. I don't think that this is going to be the only thing that rings true for you. I think that there's going to be other aspects and other things that might make you feel this way. And I think at the end of the day, if you don't feel like that's enough for you, go to a therapist, sit down and talk with a therapist with him, and get whatever information you can get to understand and know that this is not a prerequisite of a relationship at all. And I think it's incredibly, incredibly sad. And there's I'll even just say the HBO show I was talking about. So there's a show on HBO called Mrs. Fletcher. And there is towards the end, there is an episode in which like two consenting adults are hooking up, and then something non-consensual happens through them hooking up. And watching it was one of those things that it took my brain 10 seconds to realize that it was sexual assault. Because I was like, this is so, like, not that it was like a judgmental thing of like, oh, this, whatever. I was just watching it, and Monts is like, oh my God. And it was like I was on a lag. Like, it took me a couple seconds to be like, oh yeah, wait, that's not good. Like, but it happened, and it's because it's happened so often. And it's like, it's something that it becomes ingrained in women. And then even sometimes when you talk to your friends, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, like, because it's happened to everyone at a certain point, to a certain extent, that it was watching it was like, oh wow, sometimes you need to see these things that aren't about you, that have a third-party perspective, someone just objectively looking at the situation with more insight and more experience, and being like, oh, wow, okay, no, that's not normal. And because it's the only relationship that you know and the only relationship you've ever had, you have nothing else to compare it to. And he knows that. And that's the part that that stresses me out and worries me, is in situations like this, if you're being forced to do things that you don't consent to sexually, there's no way that there is not manipulation and gaslighting in your relationship as well, when you're if you're then probably being told everyone does this, like it's really like, come on, like it's no big deal. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? That it becomes not only like physical, it becomes like mental too. And it makes you question your own judgment, your own reality, and your own feelings, and that gut instinct and that gut feeling. As soon as somebody tries to get in there and redirect that feeling, biggest fucking red flag, because they don't want you to trust your own instincts. Ugh. Yeah. And it just makes me like so sad. Like, ugh, this makes me just so sad. And because like you think of like being young and just the amount of, and obviously like totally not to this this exact situation, but the amount of times that like I'd be hooking up with a guy and it'd be like, oh, like let me try and stick it in your ass, and you're like, no, and it's like,
that's not something I want.
No, and like and no matter how many times you can express that and say that, it was I think it's so sad and crazy and wild. And I think about even the stories my friends and I talked about like the guys that we slept with when we were younger. We now reevaluate it in our 20s and we're like, how we talk to each other about these situations when they happened. How did we not realize? And it was just because it was so saturated in our lives and our friends' lives that it was our normal. And it was, and like, it wasn't until like everything, all this more, I don't want to say more research, but like, it was just more popular to talk about this kind of stuff that it was like, oh, wow, why have we been doing this? Like, why, like, not we, like, we're not participate, like, not like victim aspect of it, but like, why are like we as a society, like thinking that this is something that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not. And it's definitely like the consent aspect of relationships is definitely something that is, I don't even want to say stickier, because it truly is obvious. Like the consent doesn't change from like just like hooking up to like a committed relationship. And I think everyone thinks it does, and it doesn't. And yeah, this one just makes my, like, it's icky. It's very, very icky.
We've been there. We've been there and we understand. And like time and age have taught us that this is not acceptable, and this should not be the norm.
Yeah, no. And it's wild. And I think it's hard because this is, it's your only sexual experience. But I think even for most of my friends and I've had more sexual experiences that are there's more of those like experiences where you look back on it that you're like, if I'm gonna go statistically, that's more normal in my life, and that's not a thing. Like that's not something that doesn't make it okay, just because like the treatment of women and all of this like misogyny and all of this fucking shit is ingrained in our culture and society, that it happens so much that it feels normal. It doesn't make it normal.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'm very sorry. I'm
sorry too.
So sorry, but I think that I'm really glad that you called, because I think that
you know that something's wrong and you're questioning it, and so
keep questioning it.
Yeah.
Follow your gut and follow your instincts, because you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Also, for the record, we're never fucking wrong. Like that gut feeling and instinct, like the worst case scenario.
She means like as feelings, not like Melisa and Meghan are never fucking wrong.
No, I'm wrong all the time. I'm not that smart. No, I mean like your gut instinct sort of thing. And like there's only ever two options. Either you're spot on and you're correct, or if it's hysterical, it's historical, and you're feeling that because it's happened to you before, and therefore you are also not incorrect. So like anyone who tries to get you to like go against that gut instinct. So it's time for an update.
Yes. So this is from the episode with Becca Martinez, and the original caller. Her boyfriend is a Trump supporter, and also talked degradingly about her being like bisexual and Latina. So this is her updating us.
And he didn't believe white privilege was a thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Meghan and Melissa. I'm calling back for an update. I was the girl who called in about her white boyfriend in the most recent episode with Becca. So
I guess I should backtrack a little bit. When I made that call, it was definitely like late at night, and I hadn't processed it all the way. I definitely agreed with most of what you guys said. And I think my issue was I wasn't really vocalizing that to kind of what you said, how like, I just kind of pushed my feelings aside. And I think I did. And I mean, when we had that conversation, it was really just one time before that he tried to bring up politics, and I just kind of shot it down. And I think it was because I was mostly afraid of what he would say because of his background. Also, no, I did just say that he was in the military just because I was kind of trying to like give you more of an idea about like why that age difference was there, sort of thing. But he's not in the military now. Sorry. Anyways, and so really, so, I mean, after that phone call to you guys, I sat on it and thought about it some more, and we sat down, and I kind of laid it out, like, all on the table of, like, what I was feeling, sort of that kind of thing, and I kind of did bring up, like, if this isn't something that, like, we can really agree with, because I brought up, not exactly what you said, but just happened to be what you said about, like, the moral thing at this point, and I think it was most more, like, when I called, I really just kind of not misunderstood, that's stupid, that's a gaslighting thing, but more, I didn't have all the details. So, and when I like called him out on saying that comment how he would vote for Trump anyways, it like became a thing. We are going like actively to a couples therapist and stuff, but I'm here to report that we're still together because he is learning more like upon himself, and he's taking the time to become more educated about it and stuff, and he will no longer be voting for Trump. I don't know if that's something he said to placate me, but I really don't think so, just mainly because of his actions that he's taken forward, and he's become more vocal about it, especially to his other white redneck brothers, which is a really big change in between when I called then and now. So, I don't know. I think we're in a good spot, especially with the couples therapist and stuff, but I guess we'll see where it goes from here. But thanks for all of your advice. I really appreciated it.
I mean, I'm really happy that you're happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you're happy. I think,
I think you should be cautious.
yeah.
I'm also happy that you're happy, but also be cautious that he's not just saying what you want to hear. Also, it seems like after you heard what you said and heard what we said, that now you're trying to justify his actions.
Yeah. You really came in with like the defending him and backtracking on your call. Like, and not even just our advice and what we said, but like you, like in the call, you had said that every time he brings it up, you're saying, please, I don't want to talk about this. And he keeps like insisting to bring it up and like making you talk about it all the time. And then even like got to like, whatever, was it Arbor Day? Columbus Day, not Arbor Day. That's trees.
It was Columbus Day, yeah.
And then in this, you're saying that it was only one time.
Only one time. And
you shut him down because you were afraid of what he was going to say.
Yeah.
That, like, you put the blame on you for that. And I know you corrected yourself later in this when you were saying, like, oh, that sounds like gaslighting. But, like, also so is saying, like, I didn't have all the details. Like, yeah, I would just, like you said, I would be cautious. I think it's great that you're happy. I think it's great that you're in therapy. I would urge you.
Maybe going to single therapy?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, go to couples therapy. And this is, like, not advice I would really give anybody else. Because, like, I think of you go to therapy as a unit. Go to couples therapy as an individual. Don't go to couples therapy as, like, we are this unit. You are helping us as a unit. Because I think that, like,
everybody's going to be on their best behavior as opposed to being true to what they actually feel and sharing their individual opinions. And you're coming to it with, you're like, I'm going to keep what he's saying in mind, but that's not how couples therapy works.
No, you need to be Because at the end of it, it's not just your own individual shit plays into your relationship. And that's what this is. This isn't like you might have like issues in your relationship that just relate to you, but these are moral issues that are you guys have fundamental issues with that like you would have with anyone, regardless if they're your partner or not. And so you need to approach therapy like that, where it's like, these are my issues with him, not, hey, our issue is we don't agree on politics. It's, hi, I don't agree with his standpoint on this. And I would separate yourself as a unit in therapy that way, because the backtracking and then the defending him and kind of protecting him sort of thing. I also just want to say that like I think it's great he's no longer voting for Trump. And that's,
so he says. And that's great.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
actually,
he's voting for Biden. It's not like he was like, you know what? Elizabeth Warren has changed my mind. Like, I mean, I just think that like,
we don't know if he's voting for Biden either. He might not even vote. He might just not vote.
Oh, well, if he's not voting, then if he's not voting as a former Trump supporter, then he's just still voting for Trump. He's still voting for Trump.
Yeah, that's what I kind of think is like, he's like, I'm not going to vote for him, but he didn't say that he was going to vote for Biden.
You're so right. You're so right. No, and I think that ties back to your original point of he's just kind of like going along with emotions and saying what's going to make you happy and like what's going to kind of make this go away. And if I was going to assume that he was going to try and get out of therapy as quickly as possible, and if I was also going to assume that, and this is me just being an asshole and assuming, and I'll own it, I'm an ass for assuming, but I would also assume that he leads the conversation in therapy, or there's a lot of talk beforehand with you and him about what you're going to talk about in therapy. I would also maybe assume if he found your therapist is an old white man, and that the kinds of things that you talk about in therapy, if he's changed his tune, complete 180, don't buy that. Like that's just,
it's so fast from your initial call to now.
And this is like a recent fucking episode.
Yeah.
And just to have him again, like completely just change everything, that's sus as fuck. Like even in like therapy, you can like, I will arbitrarily like think I'm fucking right, and I will be like, and my therapist will think I'm right, but like Monts doesn't immediately go, okay, you're right, all right. Like like
you have to take things and process them.
Yeah, and it takes a while, and it's like a learning curve. It's not a sudden total shift, and I would be very wary of that. And also just
and like if it is a sudden, that means that he can easily be talked into anything.
Oh yeah. And then that means that he doesn't stand for shit. Like that he's just regurgitating something else other people have told him.
Yeah.
I just think I would re-listen to the call if I were you. And I also just hate that you were like, oh, I called after I had a few drinks. Like all of that to me sounds like gaslighting. And that sounds like the shit that he's told you. And that like, oh, you're like, and watch Katie Morton's video on gaslighting. I think it's so incredibly helpful because gaslighting is very confusing. But some of the things of, you, and like narcissism too, is she has another video about that. Like, oh, you must have misheard me. But it's not said in a mean way. But it's saying, oh, you must have misheard me. No, that's not what I said. It's okay. That's not what I said though. Like, oh, you probably were busy and like you were like, I mean, you had a little too much. Like it doesn't feel icky and it doesn't feel manipulative, and it feels like this reassuring, I'm looking out for you sort of thing. Like, don't worry, I got you. I'm doing you a favor. I'm excusing you. And that's what that just sounds like to me. Because also like we've had drunk people call into this podcast and like, ma'am, you are so fucking coherent. You had all of your shit together. Like you had all of these points that you were making and like you made perfect sense. You didn't like it. Just for us who listened to the call the first time, these excuses or whatever. And you had details. That's also what I don't get. Like, what details didn't you have that you're saying that you didn't have all of the details? But like,
you gave multiple examples. It wasn't something that just came up and you shot down. These were on multiple fronts. I'm sorry. This goes for anybody that calls in. I think that everybody should sit down and write out exactly what you're going to say. Just because you can see it in writing, does this make sense? Is it coherent? And you might come up with some answers yourself before you even call in.
Yeah. No, I think that's, I mean, we always praise, we call them our Virgos, who write and read. And I think not only does it help us give you the best advice because it's the most detailed, it's great for the listener. And if you're calling in, you're also a listener. So those are the calls. If you don't even know that, if you're like, wow, I liked that call so much, it was like, it made so much sense. Those are the people who are reading after they've written down. And then also, like you said, I think you'll be able to get the most out of our advice if you write it down, and you'll be like, oh, okay, this is unimportant. I don't need to include this. Oh, this makes me think of this. Oh, this. I think it'll tie it all up nice with a bow. That's it for our episode, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, guys, if you want to call in for an upcoming episode, leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. International listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Just record it on your phone, send an audio file. We've gotten some messages of people on like Instagram being like, is this where I send the audio messages to? And I'm like, so you know there are audio messages. Email them, record them, voice notes on your phone. Very simple, very easy.
Honestly, all the information that you need is in the show notes. Just look down.
Yeah, just look down. Just look down. If you want to follow us on our personal Instagrams, check it out, linked, as well as Don't Blom Meme Pod. And our website, you can listen ad-free on Stitcher, video versions over on YouTube. Pre-order my book, comes out May 5th.
Very soon.
Also pre-order the audio book if you would like that, which I did read and Melissa directed. So it's very much this vibe. And if you are international and trying to figure out how to get the book, just Google You're Not Special, Meghan Rienks, and the country where you are located. So it'll show up that way. But I can't have all of the links. People are like, well, how do I get in Canada? And then I have to switch to Amazon Canada and then send them the Canada link because I'm just doing all of the US ones. But hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hope you're all staying safe, staying inside, and no dick is worth other people's lives. So stay the fuck inside and fuck your vibrator or a fleshlight or whatever you want to fuck. Couch cushions, fuck whatever you want to fuck.
Get your hand pregnant.
Yeah. Impregnate that fucking hand. Make that hand a baby. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa Monts. Camera operator Amanda Lechner. And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso. Whatever struggles you're facing, from depression and anxiety to trauma and grief, BetterHelp can connect you with a professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. And it's so convenient. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, as well as chat and text with your therapist. And anything you share is completely confidential. Best of all, it's a truly affordable option. Our listeners even get 10% off your first month with the discount code BLAME. So why not get started? Simply go to betterhelp.com/blame and fill out a questionnaire to get matched with a counselor you'll love today.